got brewskis. Excellent.
And it is Media Trust taking over the lead. They're going to win this heat, followed by Mountain Timber.
In the movies, all natives are supreme horsemen, at one with their horse. But most of us can't even ride. Perhaps that myth was born here with the Crow people of Montana. The Crow are renowned riders throughout North America. It's like they were born on a horse.
The Crows, they love horses. Without a horse, it's like losing a mom or a family member. When a horse dies, some people cry.
There is a spiritual connection between the crow and the horse. Because the horse come along and he saved a lot of people like me, you know, from whatever. It heals you. It makes you think about something not yourself. But even though you became like this with him, you know, he was still something that you could open your hand to and let go. Something you gave away.
Fed up with seeing only white guys riding in the movies, Rod became one of Hollywood's top stuntmen.
I'm trying to take it to the next level. No longer am I just how, you know? Now I can drive a lowrider and shoot you with an Uzi. You can wrap me up in a turban. And I could be your worst nightmare.
He now trains young natives in the secrets of his craft.
Hey, come in toward me, come in toward me, now go! Stay there, woo! Come in, your halt.
You see some good in some of these kids, so you want to bring it out in them. I'm trying to give that back. Because I can. Because I want to.
3 hours from sundown. Jeremy hoping to keep the sun from his eye.
I don't just take in anybody. If you can't ride your horse anywhere you want, with your hands out to your side and still being in control, that's horsemanship.
Such a
Now, I'll put you on the edge. I want you to feel my excitement, you know? I want you to feel that. Woo!
Take the hit, man, take the hit.
If you don't teach them, they're never gonna learn. And I take that in life. You know, if I don't tell people about Indians, they're gonna think we're all drunks. You know, we're gonna think we all can ride bareback.
Throughout the silent era, the Indian becomes not only a hero, but a Hollywood star.
The output of the silent era was tremendous. People in the silent days were going to movies every week. So much was being produced. So it was a natural for Native American perspectives to be viewed.
The portrayal of Native people on screen has changed dramatically since the silent era. They were a very popular character.
Native American people directing and acting in films, and they were bringing their viewpoints to the table too. And those were being listened to. Everything was wide open. It was really exciting times.
One of the most authentic films of its time, featuring real Native actors, is The Silent Enemy.
The silent enemy refers to starvation. It's what is occurring to Native people who are being encroached on, and how are they conquering the silent enemy of starvation. In the beginning of the film, it talks about the demise of American Indian people. And you're talking about a film in the 1930s when the population of American Indian people had dipped to around 250,000. So the idea of the vanishing American was probably very real in people's mind. So here we have this chance to capture the Indians before they vanish. And what better way to capture them than on film?
The most famous Indian of this era and star of the silent enemy is Chief Buffalo Child Longlands.
Buffalo Child Longlands in the movie becomes the ultimate warrior, the mystic warrior, the one who's going to help his people.
But Longlands lived his whole life with a dark secret.
He disguised his triracial background, Indian, black, and white, and promoted a new image of who he was. So he changed his name to Longlands. So he took off from there. What made him the darling of the cocktail set is that he would show up, his hair slicked back, dark skin, in his beautiful tuxedo, and everybody's looking for the Indian to appear. And they don't see this very sophisticated man in a tuxedo. When it came out that he was part black, of course he was shunned. And nobody wanted to invite him to any of their chic cocktail parties. He ended up at a benefactor's home in California and ended up committing suicide because it was going to be revealed about his true heritage.
I was lucky enough to grow up in a time when Native people were the cool thing to be. And I would remember going to parties where white people would come to me and want to touch my hair and would describe themselves getting an Indian name from an elder at some ceremony somewhere that they had managed to attend. And it was always, you know, Dakota.
Choosing your animal name. First, you choose your animal, which is your spirit, the animal most like you.
Scattered throughout North America are summer camps like these, keeping Hollywood's notion of the noble savage alive and well. This is the event of the summer, Tribal Games, a time when boys become Indian braves at war.
What is interesting is that with all the bad images of the Indians, so many people want to be Indian. All the mythological apparel that the cinema put around the Indians, putting it in this magic land. Everybody wants to be there. And one of the ways to be there was to become Indian.
David Teifner comes all the way from Austria.
I am here because I'm a counselor in Camp Nominee. I was chosen as a tribe leader as well for the Sioux tribe, which was a great, great surprise for me and a great honor.
Welcome to the Sioux tribe. We've got scouts and braves. Thanks to mighty warriors, never fear defeat. Sioux tribe, Sioux tribe, Sioux tribe, Sioux. Pass the peace, fight the crazy horse. Pass the peace, fight the crazy horse.
My knowledge isn't that great about natives. I mean, basically, it's from like 2 or 3 movies that I would have watched. But through these movies, I just got the whole mentality of the natives, gave me a very positive perspective. Like the unity, the family, the unity, how they hold together, like brotherhood.
I wonder if any of these kids have ever met a Native person, or if their image of us comes only from the movies. I hope I don't disappoint them.
On one side, I like the peaceful image of the natives. but if necessary, the warrior image. I'd say it's very brutal. The natives had brutal times, but I think it was not if it was necessary.
In the 1930s, the Indian is transformed into a brutal savage. And America, struggling through the Great Depression, needs a new brand of hero.
There were a number of Hollywood films that came out in the early 1930s that followed in the steps of the silent enemy. And the Indians were the stars of these movies. What are you gonna do with that? But the interesting thing about that whole cycle, they just bombed at the box office. Americans are not that interested in them.
For the most part in that decade, we're looking at films where it's the savage. It's the attacking marauders.
Savages! That's my wife, Yakima, my squaw. Yes, but she's savage. Si, senor. She's a little bit savage, I think.
People lined up in droves. Americans loved Westerns. It's in our blood.
Stagecoach is the iconic Western. It's the Western that all others were really modeled after, and it's one of the most damaging movies for Native people in history. You have white society inside a stagecoach, and they are besieged on all sides by Native people, by the wild of America. Those that are stopping progress, those that are backwards, those that are vicious and bloodthirsty. Stagecoach summed up and gave the opinion of Native people for decades to the populace in the U.S. That's how they thought of us, and it's because of John Ford that they thought of us like that, and that Native people may have even thought of themselves.
You push them up daisies.
Oh, very interesting. Wow.
That's when we developed the sort of Tonto speak that now I think is most associated with the portrayal of Aboriginal people on screen.
But some films, instead of using a native language, well, they just ran English backwards. Listen for the satanic messages.
And as for the Injuns, they're usually white guys in red face.
White people playing native roles? I love it because it's funny. All the big stars played natives.
She can chew on my moccasins anytime she wants to.
White guys playing Indians, you know. Chuck Connors as Geronimo. Just like Adam Sandler as Malcolm X, you know.